Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Now let's get straight into it. Today's lesson is going to be on the Song of Solomon, chapter 2. And we're doing this lesson today to build our faith, to bring more understanding to how the scriptures are written, all while showing who the scriptures were written for. And you know, a lot of the quote unquote biblical scholars, they'll glance at the Songs of Solomon and write them off as just a love story between King Solomon and one of his women, which we're about to find out that this song and all of the Songs of Solomon are about the Most High's love for Israel through his only begotten son, Yahushua. And last thing real quick, you know, this chapter and really all the Songs of Solomon too, they could be looked at as dark sayings, what the scriptures call dark sayings, meaning deep secrets of the scriptures. You know, whether that's the case or not, one thing we do need to keep in mind is when it comes to the dark sayings of the scriptures, you know, this is not to be looked at as an individual achievement, whether we can understand these or not. You know, like I said earlier, it should be for faith building and giving all that glory back to the Most High for him being the one that revealed these secrets to us. All right, like King Solomon told us in the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 21. Now let's proceed. Let's go. Now, before we start though, let's begin showing how why the Song of Solomon is written the way it is. All right, let's go to Hosea chapter 12 and verse 10, get a classic real quick.
It's the book of Hosea, chapter 12 and verse 10. And it reads, I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets.
All right, so King Solomon was a prophet. All right, he used many visions and multitudes in his books. You know, Ecclesiastes, he wrote some of the Psalms, almost all of the Proverbs, the Song of Solomon, the Wisdom of Solomon. All right, he wrote all these books. And you have to keep in mind while you read the Songs of Solomon that these are the words of the Most High given by a prophet for a similitude, meaning something that's similar. You know, the so-called black man and woman, we know what a metaphor is and a similitude or a simile is, because we use that mainly in our music. All right, and this is how you know this is our book. So-called white man couldn't get down like this. I promise you that. All right. Now, real quick, let's get 1 Kings chapter 4. And we can start at verse 29. Let's get 29.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 4 and verse 29. And the Most High gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore.
So you have to keep that in mind again while you're reading the Songs of Solomon. This is a man that had, you know, you could say infinite wisdom and understanding. It was exceeding much, unlike any other man that ever lived, right? So this is much deeper than just one of Solomon's women talking to him about love. All right, we can keep going to verse 30.
Verse 30, and Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt.
Yeah, that's right. So for all the Kemet brothers, yes, the scriptures are real wisdom that exceeds the wisdom of Egypt. All right, for you and all your Egyptian pagan gods. And let's get verse 32.
Verse 32. And he spake 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005.
Okay, that's all the Songs of Solomon, 1,005. So it was his songs. All right, and his songs were the songs of Zion. All right, they were all about Israel. All right, the songs of Zion, and let's get that. Where I had this. Oh no. Yeah, let's pull that real quick. Psalms 137 and 3.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 137 and verse 3. For there they, for like it, For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required us mirth, saying, sing us one of those songs of Zion.
Okay, the songs of Solomon are the songs of Zion, meaning of Israel. That's what they pertain to. So it's not a simple love story. Or you have to actually get the precepts to get the understanding of what these songs are about and what it's really breaking down. All right, because King Solomon, we know he ruled over all Israel and he loved his own people. You know, like the brother's lesson, King Solomon was a separatist. You understand? That's what his songs are about. But I want to get that context before we jumped in so we can understand that. So now let's get Songs of Solomon chapter 2. Let's start at verse 1.
It's the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2, and verse 1. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys.
Read through verse 3.
Verse 2. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. As the apple tree among the trees of the woods, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste.
All right, so all three of these verses are talking about Israel being amongst the other nations. All right, all three of these verses are, but let's break them all down. Read up to here in verse 1 again so we can keep the thought fresh.
Verse 1. I am the rose of Sharon.
All right, I am the rose of Sharon. So what does that mean? What is this rose of Sharon? What is that pertaining to? First, let's get the understanding of what Sharon is, because we know what a rose is. All right, so I got this pulled up. This is just a Blue Letter Bible, the concordance, which is just a definition of the word. All right, and it says Sharon in the modern Hebrew, and it says plain level. Sharon equals a plain. All right, and it says here, district line between the mountains of central Palestine and the Mediterranean Sea and north of Joppa. All right, name of a place in Palestine. So let's get that on the map. So it says here, ancient Palestine. All right, and right here you see Sharon. This is the plain of Sharon here. You see it's over here in Israel, over here north of Joppa, like it said, by Benjamin and so on and so forth. But what is a plain? This is a plain right here. This is what a plain looks like. You see it's kind of, you got some of them that's kind of green here, but some of them looking a little barren. You see, plain, just like his name, looking a little plain here. Not much going on. There goes some life here, some giraffes. But let's get back to the verse here. Now, let's get this understanding. It says, I am the rose of Sharon. Now, if you're looking at this, wouldn't a rose stick out? Because there's no flowers here. So if you had a beautiful rose here, it would pretty much stick out because it'd be the only one there. All right. So let's read that one more time again.
The book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 1. I am the rose of Sharon.
See, this is about Israel being that beautiful rose in the midst of the plain. All right, beautiful, comely, and unlike anything that is surrounded by. You understand? That's us. At least that's how we're supposed to be. If we were in our right mind, if we were submitted to our power, which is the Most High. But right now, our people, we're just salt that's lost its savior, just like Yahweh mentioned in Matthew chapter 5. But back to the verse, so it's the same thing for the valleys. All right. what's a valley? Let's get that real quick. Valley is a lowland. You understand? You see, this valley is this part right here. This part that's low. Right now, we in a low place. Babylon the Great, this is a low place because anything goes. You understand? Almost every day I look up and it's more quote unquote LGBTQ propaganda, towards our children. This is a low place. This is a valley. Like David said in Psalms chapter 23, this is walking through the shadow of the valley of death. All right, Babylon the Great. Now, let's get some understanding on the lily. Then we're going to bring this all together because it said here in the lily of the valleys. All right, we'll get a couple classics real quick. Let's get 2nd Esdras chapter 5 and verse 23.
It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 5 and verse 23. And said, O Lord, that beareth rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, that thou hast chosen thee one only vine.
Okay, so in this chapter, well, at least in this segment, in this chapter, the Most High is giving an account of who he chooses, of all the trees, the cattle, and the flowers, so on and so forth, and the people. All right, now let's get the next verse.
Verse 24. And of all lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers thereof, one lily.
One lily. Okay, that's us, the children of Israel, his chosen people, that lily in a low land, in a valley. You understand? Let's get Hosea chapter 14 and verse 5.
The book of Hosea, chapter 14 and verse 5. I will be as the dew unto Israel. He shall grow as the lily and cast forth his roots as Lebanon.
Exactly. So this is referring to Israel. We know that through the scriptures. All right. So I know it says, I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys, but this is King Solomon portraying how the Most High and his son feels about the children of Israel. All right. You're surrounded by heathens, you're surrounded by wickedness, but we're that bright light, that beautiful rose, that lily in a low place. All right. A rose in Sharon, a rose in a plain. All right. His chosen, just like it says here in 2nd Esdras chapter 5, verse 22. Verse 24. His chosen. All right, let's get 1 Chronicles chapter 16, and actually, just for a little bit of context here, we can start at verse 7.
This is the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 16 and verse 7. Then on that day, David delivered first his psalms to thank the Lord into the hand of Asaph and his brethren.
Okay, so this David speaking, just so we get that. Now we can go down to verse 12.
Verse 12. Remember this marvelous works that he hath done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth.
All right, keep going.
O ye seed of Israel, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen ones.
You see, we are the chosen ones, called to rule the kingdom of heaven together with the King of Kings. You understand? The children of Israel are the chosen ones. Now, back to verse 1, like I was saying, I am the rose of Sharon. I am the chosen. I'm that rose that stands out. All right, like the lily in the valley. Because if you see either one of these things, they would stand out from everyone else. And that's supposed to be us. Our light is supposed to shine, amongst the heathen. Understand? So that's what this is going into. Now let's get verse 2.
This It's the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 2. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters.
So as the lily, we understand what the lily is, the children of Israel, all right, that chosen flower or that chosen seed among thorns, among thorns. Let's get Joshua chapter 23 and verse 13.
It's the book of Joshua, chapter 23 and verse 13. Know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land which the Lord your God hath given you.
See, the thorns are the other nations. Okay. This is referring to the other nations. The thorn in your eyes. The other nations are thorns in your eyes. And you know what? A thorn is pretty annoying, man. It really is. I know pretty much all of us probably been pricked by one before. You know, sometimes you don't even see them there. You're trying to pick up a rose or something, just looking at it, and it stop you from picking up a rose. But also, you know, a thorn can also draw blood. I mean, that's how sharp it is. You know, catch you off guard, draw blood, and that's the other nations. All right, they draw blood against our people. They've been shedding blood, innocent blood from our people for many years now. You know, centuries, and not just during so-called, you know, Thanksgiving and slavery and things like that, but also to this day. Now, instead of doing it directly, what they want to do now is put out different doctrines in our faces, like abortion, to let our people think that's an honorable thing and have our people killing each other, or glorify these rappers, you know, make them famous. Now, Jake out there want to shoot up his brother just because 50 Cent told him to. I know I picked an old rapper, but that's just the first one that just came to my head right there. Y'all get the point. Whoever, NBA young boy, whoever these cats are nowadays, shoot, they thorns too. All right, but back to the point. This is referring to the other nations, though. They're here to distract you from understanding that you that rose. All right, that rose in Sharon, or that lily. All right. And you know, you wouldn't touch a thorn on purpose, would you? So, you know, that means we should stay away from these other nations as well, from their doctrines and philosophies. All right, let's get verse 2 again.
Verse 2. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters.
So Solomon is saying that the Most High love is like that chosen lily among the other nations. Okay. And his love for us among the daughters of men. All right, aka the other nations. Again, let's get Genesis chapter 6 and verse 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 6 and verse 1. And it reads, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them.
Yeah, we pretty much all know, you know, what happened here. At least, well, we may not all know, because the Christian account is that, you know, 450-foot tall giants were made, which is not the case. But let's keep going. Verse 2.
Verse 2. That the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
Okay, you have two different seed lines here. You have the sons of God and then the daughters of men. The sons of God is that chosen seed line from the Most High. And then you have the daughters of men. That's the wicked seed line. And why did I say wicked? Because you're only righteous. You're either righteous or you wicked. But that sons of God, let's get that real quick in Luke chapter 3. What's that? The last verse, around 38. Yeah, let's get Luke chapter 3 and verse 38.
The book of Luke, chapter 3 and verse 38. Which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of the Most High.
That's the son of the Most High. All right, or what the scriptures call just plainly here is sons of God. All right, that's that chosen seed line. The daughters of men, that was that wicked seed line that came from Cain and the wicked Enoch. You understand? So that's what this is going into in the second verse, is the other nations as well. You got the lily among the thorns, so is my love among the daughters. All right, because we are among the other nations right now. All right, but the Most High has still cast his love down upon us. You know, let's get First Kings, another classic, chapter 10 and verse 9.
It's the book of First Kings, chapter 10 and verse 9. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice.
You said because the Lord loved all nations forever?
Because the Lord loved Israel forever.
Look, man, the Most High never claimed another nation like he claimed Israel. All right, you won't see another verse in the Bible, you know, anything close to this referring to the Elamites or the Hamites, Jebusites, whoever. Okay. Dang show not the Edomites. Matter of fact, you're gonna see quite the opposite. All right, he hate the Edomites. But anyway, point is though, you know, that's why King Solomon is saying that his love among the daughters, because the Most High loves us. Understand? Where the apple is eye. That's in many verses in the scriptures. All right, now let's get verse 3.
This is the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 3. As the apple tree among the trees of the wood, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste.
All right, so notice that you have trees of the wood, and then you got the apple tree. The apple tree is among the trees of the wood. All right, so a tree of the wood is a tree with no fruits. But then, you know, you got the apple tree that obviously has, and, you know, he bears that good fruit. All right. And I say his because it says right here, his shadow. So that tree, you know, is a he. We see that. Yahweh Shai is that apple tree among the trees of the woods. You understand? And that's why being under his shadow is something, you know, that we see in great delight. That's why King Solomon said that, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. Yahweh Shai is the word, right? So being in his word is a great delight. That's being under his shadow. All right, and we'll talk about the shadow, and then we'll talk about what that fruit represents. Let's get the shadow real quick. Psalms chapter 91 and verse 1, Baba Kasha.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 91 and verse 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty.
Hey, what's the secret place? These scriptures. Right now, we dwelling in the secret place. All right, it's a secret that's out in the open because most people don't even know about it, and it's right there in their face. All right, that refuge is the scriptures, that secret place in a valley or in a plain. You understand the scriptures lining up right now, and that's why that's why Solomon said that, you know, we should have great delight to be in Yahweh Shai's shadow. Because, you know, a shadow follows you wherever you go, and that's how we're supposed to be with Yahweh Shai. All right, let's get verse 3 again.
It's The book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 3. As the apple tree among the trees of the wood, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste.
All right, so men are likened unto trees in the scriptures for various reasons. All right, we've gotten this before, but of course, we got to keep getting this thing so our people understand what's going on. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 7, and then you can move straight to 8.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 7. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Most High, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters.
Salat. Let's go line by line on here because it's so much. All right, so it says, for he shall be as a tree planted by the waters. And this was referring to a man, remember? So he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, because a man of the Lord is rooted in the rivers or in the waters, aka the word, the living waters, meaning that's your foundation. Your life revolves around the scriptures. You understand? Not that you have a life and you trying to fit the scriptures in. No, your life revolves around the scriptures and everything else just fits in because that's your foundation. Your goal is to make the kingdom, so everything else that you do is just getting you closer to that goal. You understand? All right. And read that next part.
And that spreadeth out her roots by the river.
You keep going.
And shall not see when heat cometh.
Shall not see when the heat cometh. That's actually kind of deep right there, man. Meaning you won't see that lake of fire. All right, because you're gonna be in that secret place, beamed up by them chariots. You won't see the heat coming. Keep going.
But her leaf shall be green.
All right, so to keep your tree and your leaves green, you got to constantly be rooted in the sun. You got to constantly be rooted in the waters, meaning in the word. All right, let's keep going.
And shall not be careful in the year of drought.
Okay.
Neither shall cease from yielding fruit.
All right, you always going to produce good fruit. Okay. And your fruit is your actions. That's what you produce. If men are likened unto trees, at least righteous men are likened unto trees, what you produce, aka your actions, that's your fruit. Your actions and decisions that you make on a daily basis, that's your good fruits. That's what you produce. All right. We know this, but we got to get this for context. Let's get Luke chapter 6 and verse 43.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 6 and verse 43. For a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit, neither doth a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit.
All right. You see, men are likened unto trees. All right. We got to ask ourselves this question. Are we a good tree bringing forth good fruit? Are we a corrupt tree bringing forth corrupt fruit? Let's keep going.
Verse 44. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor a bramble bush gather, nor of a bramble bush gather they grapes.
So you can't go in the bramble bush and gather your grapes. And we talked about the thorns. Okay. But again, that's what your fruits are. All right, let's do we need we're already looking at it. Let's get 65. Slide 45 as well.
Verse 45. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh.
And now let's get Matthew chapter 12 and verse 33 real quick.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 12 and verse 33. Either make the tree good and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and his fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by its fruit.
A tree is known by its fruit. Now, since Yahushua was sinless, you know who was and who is that tree that produced the best fruit? That's Yahushua. That's why he's that apple tree amongst the trees of the wood. There's other trees in the wood, but he produces the best fruit. He had the best actions, you know, in the overall, he represents righteousness. You understand? And it says here again, his fruit was sweet to my taste. All right. You know, a tree can produce fruit, but it doesn't mean that fruit will be sweet. You know, Yahushua has the sweetest fruit, man, because he bared that righteous fruit. All right. And that fruit is sweet to the taste. It's an apple tree. You already know them apple pies be good, man. Let's get Proverbs. I believe I got Proverbs chapter 11. Yeah, Proverbs 11 and verse 30.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise.
The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. All right. Yahushua is that tree of life. You understand? That's your actions, which you produce. Okay, and let's get this too. Let's get Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 3.
God, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3 and verse 3. And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness.
When it says that roll, you know, the scriptures didn't always come in a book like we have right now. You had scrolls. This is that roll that, you know, that Ezekiel is he's eating here parabolically. All right, spiritually. We consuming a word right now. We eating a roll right now. All right. And it was in his mouth as honey for sweetness, because that word be good to you, man. You know, just knowing that we have a chance at eternal life if we keep the statute, laws, and commandments, that's a sweet thing to the taste. All right, that's honey that you want to consume. You understand? The word in itself is sweet to the righteous. But you know, the aftertaste, it can be bitter too. You know, like you read about in Revelation, the 10th chapter, I believe. You know, once you realize what state our people in right now, versus where we're supposed to be at, you know, that it get bitter, man. But anyway, that's why it says his fruit was sweet to my taste. Okay. Now we seeing that, you know, King Solomon going in right now. This all could appear to be very plain. You could just see, oh, it's just talking about an apple tree. It's just trees of the wood. No, this is, you know, this is a deeper meaning. It's all in the scriptures. The Bible will explain itself. You just have to have the precepts for it to do so. All right, you don't read this and then start going on your own ideologies like most people do. All right, most people say that King Solomon didn't even write this, even though it says that he had over 1,000 songs. And then verse 1 of chapter 1 says that it was his songs. But anyway, all right, let's get Deuteronomy chapter 28, and then let's get verse 64.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the end, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
It's like I believe I wanted to get. You know what? No, we good. Yeah, let's give verse 65 as well.
Verse 65. And among these nations shall thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
All right, so we are among these nations right now. That's why I wanted to pull this up, because one of the curses that we have on our people is that if we don't keep the Most High's commandments, that he was going to scatter us among all people. All right, just like that lily among thorns. Now we are among the thorns, all the other nations, and that's one of the curses. You understand? Or the apple tree among the trees of the wood. That's one of the curses. Or that we have to deal with. Now we can get more, of course, about serving other gods and what wood and stone means, but just to stick to this lesson, that's what we want to get out of that, so we had an understanding. Also, real quick, just to prove that point, one more precept. Let's get Amos chapter 9 and verse 9.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 9 and verse 9. And it reads, For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations. Like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth.
All right, I will sift the house of Israel among all nations. Why is this, end time prophecy? Is because, it was already known that the children of Israel, meaning our people, will be among all nations, like we see King Solomon saying here. Again, he was a prophet. All right, this is prophetic scriptures right now. All right, we can go ahead and jump to verse 4 now.
It's the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 4. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love.
He brought me to the banqueting house. What's the banqueting house? Well, we know what a banquet is. A banquet is a fine dinner, where normally wine is served. That's what the banqueting house is. That's a house of wine. All right. And, Solomon is not just saying Yahweh Shai, gave him a wine or took him to a wine house. Wine is also parabolic for knowledge as well, or doctrine. All right. Similar to, you have a saying that somebody drunk the Kool-Aid. And you normally say that when somebody at work, they going hard for their job. They actually believe in that place instead of just working there for a check. They drink the Kool-Aid. Something similar, which that normally has a negative connotation, but of course, wine can be good too. Let's get Song of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 9.
It's the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 9. And the roof of thy mouth like the best wine for my beloved, that goeth down sweetly, causing the lips of those that are asleep to speak.
Kind of love how that's written. Remember the fruit that's sweet from the apple tree? And it goes down sweetly because that's the wine that the righteous want to drink. All right. That wine that comes from the fruit of a righteous vine, which is the Most High's favorite tree as well, that we read about. And that's probably why he made wine so good to us, man, because it comes from the vine. But let's get Mark chapter 2 and verse 22.
The book of Mark, chapter 2 and verse 22. And no man putteth new wine into old bottles, else the new wine does burst the bottles, and the wine is spilled, and the bottles will be marred. But new wine must be put in new bottles.
New wine must be put into new bottles, meaning new doctrine and understanding. It won't go into that old body of yours before you're born again. All right, that reminded me of a precept that we just went over. Let's get there real quick. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1. Oh, I didn't even see the thing click. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 4.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 4. For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin.
See that? So new wine has to go into a new bottle, meaning your body. New doctrine, this understanding of the scriptures, it won't go into that old man that you got, if you got it, that old body, before you're born again. That's why the scriptures calls it being born again. All right. Think about your old self before the scriptures. Man, you would have never been able to understand these scriptures like this. And that's that new wine, that new understanding. It will rent or mar that old bottle, bust it open. That's why our people can't get it right now. It's all spiritual. They're in that same body spiritually. So, they're incapable of getting this new wine. All right. So they got to come into the knowledge of the truth so they can receive this new wine. You understand? So that's why King Solomon said he brought me into the banqueting house. All right. His banner over me was love. Let's get what a banner is. All right. It says banner, standard, a flag, banner, standard. And I believe I got this pulled up over here. Let's see, because it did say banner or standard. Let's see. So I got this definition here, standard. Of course, you got the definition of a level of quality or attainment. But the definition we want to get that has banner right here, similar. It says a military or ceremonial flag carried on a pole or hoisted on a rope. And another word we see here, we got flag, banner, pennon, streamer, ensign. All right, an ensign. Let's get Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 9 through 10.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 11 and verse 9. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Most High, as the waters cover the sea.
I'll pray. Just keep going.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people, to which shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
All right, that's the ensign of the people, that banner, that standard. Because, normally in war, if you have a banner or that flag, it's to symbol something, right? So if you win that battle, men will put a banner down, stick in the ground. This is the battle of so-and-so. We won it. That's for an ensign. All right. And the Most High's ensign to our people is love, our favor. That's how the Most High shows that we are the chosen. That's why King Solomon here,
I was gonna say, I just said for me, it may be others, that while you was in there in the Strongs, will you click on banqueting so we can see the biblical use of that? I know you said it, but
no problem. Yeah, let's get it. Banqueting. So you see it says wine, banqueting, wine bibbers. Wine bibbers would be those that drink excessively. Banqueting, wine bibbers.
the water.
And then let me see anything useful here. Vineyard, wine. Esther had that banquet, that huge banquet. It says, he brought me to a house of wine, for he intoxicated me with love. That's actually a verse that we read right now in another translation. So that represents wine. He brought me to the banqueting house, or to the house of wine. But of course, we know that's parabolic for that knowledge and wisdom from the Most High. And his banner over me was love. That ensign over me was love, because the Most High loves Israel. Let's get John chapter 3, verse 16.
It's the book of John, chapter 3 and verse 16. For the Most High so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Now, I bet brothers weren't expecting me to use this as a precept in the lesson, huh? Well, you know what? I can't speak for anybody else, but I try to make sure that I'm looking at John 3:16 for its true understanding, and not letting the world's misunderstanding of this verse take me away from realizing how much the Most High loves us, because this is a beautiful verse when you know what it actually means, and not what Pastor Pork telling you it means. So the Most High so loved the world of Israel that he gave his only begotten Son. All right, that's that banner over the children of Israel. That's love, that ensign. All right. Let's get we can move on now. Let's get verse 5.
The book of Song of Solomon, chapter
That's
2.
Actually, I had more on that real quick. Let's get Psalms chapter 60 and verse 4.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 60 and verse 4. Thou have given a banner to them that fear thee, that it may be displayed because of the truth. Salah.
All right, you display a banner. Okay, you display that ensign. The Most High is going to put all nations, you're going to display us to all nations, and we're going to be that banner, which is love. The Most High is going to show his favor to us. You understand? All right, do I have one? No, that's it. Now we can go to verse 5. So, yeah, verse 5 first. Verse 5.
It's the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 5. Stay me with how you say that, flagons?
Flagons.
Stay me with flagons. Comfort me with apples, for I am sick of love.
So a flagon is what holds wine. All right. And we can go into that real quick too. H809. Now this says raisin cake used in sacrificial feasts, consistently translated in AV as flagon of wine. But a flagon, again, it's not a raisin cake, at least in this context. A flagon is what holds wine. Okay, let's see. Especially made of wine, dried and pressed. They still talking about cakes. Let's actually, yeah, I believe I got this pretty much the same. Yeah, I got 2 Samuel 6 and 19. Let's get 2 Samuel chapter 6 and verse 19.
It's the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 6 and verse 19. And he dwelt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to every one a cake of bread, and a good piece of flesh, and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, every one to his house.
All right, a flagon of wine. So what the prophet is saying is, stay me with the flagons, stay me with the wine, with the knowledge, wisdom, and discernment of the Most High. Keep me with it. Comfort me with apples, comfort me with the fruit. All right, for I am sick of love. Now, when we say sick of something, we normally mean that to mean, we sick of it, we don't want any more of it. But King Solomon is saying that he has so much love that it's like overwhelming. I am sick of love. I'm overwhelmed with love. You understand? That is causing me to be sick almost. Parabolic, to become weak or to become sick. All right, to become ill, feel weak. That's how much love that he, that he feels, man. All right, which is parabolic for the Most High's love for us, by the way. All right, we can give verse 6.
The book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 6. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand doth embrace me.
So his left hand is under my head, and his right hand doth embrace me. All right. Let's get Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 8.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 4 and verse 8. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her.
When thou dost embrace her. All right. This is referring to Yahushua always embracing us. Okay. So I know that there's a lot here, especially if you're newer. But you just gotta take your time with it. Look at the precepts. Sometimes you gotta kind of look up, like banqueting house. You gotta take this, look it up to see what it means, cross-reference it with the scriptures, so you can get the full understanding. All right, let's get we can go to verse 7. We probably close out with verse 7.
This is the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 7. I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes, and by the hands, and by the hinds of the field, that ye stir not up, nor awake my love till he please.
Okay, so I charge you, or I command you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hinds of the field, that ye stir not up, nor awake my love till he please. Now this is deep as well, because this is now, from this verse on down, it's going to start talking about Yahushua coming back. All right, that's when his love is awakened. All right, but it's saying don't stir, that you stir not up. Because what our people, what we try to do is, and when I say our people, not those of us that know what's going on, but those of us that don't, we trying to take matters into our own hand. And when you do that, you're not giving that faith to Yahushua. You're not putting that trust in the Most High. A lot of brothers and sisters, they feel like we being stagnant by waiting on the Lord. But the thing is that, nothing is going to go down. We won't be taking out this captivity until Yahushua comes back. And ain't nothing you can do about it. You can go get whatever, type of military you want to, or whatever the case, to try to dethrone a so-called white man. But hey, it ain't gonna happen until Yahushua come back. All right, and that's just scripture, that's just prophecy. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Let's get Romans chapter 13 and verse 1.
The book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High.
So again, this just means, let's get this too. Let's get Romans chapter 12 and verse 19.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord.
So you can't try to take this thing into your own matter, man. Awaken Yahushua before it's time for him to come back.
It's a lot.
Khan.
A pre-subject just to throw in Psalms chapter 46, verses 10 and 11.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 46 and verse 10. Be still and know that I am the Most High. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth.
Hey, chill out. Hey, most I got everything. Read on.
Verse 11, the Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge, Salah.
We have the ultimate security there. Just chill. Do what you are supposed to. And the most high gonna cover everything.
Con. Exactly. So that's what Solomon was going into right here. You stir not Yahweh Shai up till he please, meaning he's not going to come back till he please. Okay. And that's why it says, awake my love. Now I know again that may be a lot for some, but you know, if you don't get it right now, it'll come to you. Just read over again and go through the precepts, and it should make more sense. All right. Now, I actually wanted to kind of end it there before we go to that next verse, because it's starting to talk about something else. Yeah, so I'm gonna end it there. I could get some more precepts about what we talked about in the first 6 verses, but we can do a part 2, and I'll kind of refresh and grab some other scriptures that I didn't get on the first time through, and then we'll finish up to verse 17. So for now, shalom.